at KW.
Whoop.
So yeah, so and I currently I have a small and mighty real estate team that is 6 people. So it's two full-time, two part-time, one admin, and me. I own a market center with uh, four business centers and a market center. I'm the OP. I have a title company, I have a 501(c)(3) charity, I own a shopping center, a bunch of short-term rentals. I'm a busy beaver. So lots of things going on.
You got a lot, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, with where you are today, let's go back in time a little bit because your journey wasn't so smooth to get to where you are today. So, you had the number one real estate. You were on the number one real estate. Okay.
It's gonna figure it out eventually.
Yes,
It'll get there.
we're
Sorry, guys, I
recording,
hit the wrong
people.
button.
That's okay. We're
That's
recording.
all
That's good.
good.
Okay. So yeah, so tell us a little bit about the journey in the beginning. So and maybe once you joined Keller Williams, and that was 2006. So what did that
Yeah.
journey look like?
Yeah. So when we were selling 2004, 5, and 6, we were selling about 500 houses a year, which today seems like nothing with all of the agents that are selling thousands of houses. But back then it was a big deal and it required a lot of people. We had 56 people on our team. I had 4 listing teams, 3 buyer teams. I mean, we had marketing teams. And it was funny because I didn't tell you this when we talked the other day, but when I met Mo Anderson in 2006, she was asking recruiting questions about how many times Keller Williams had called us. And it was a big, huge room of people. And she called me up to the front because we had never been called and we were the number one team in the world. And nobody had ever called us from Keller Williams. And she started asking questions about our business. And I was immediately humbled to the floor because she started asking, okay, so you guys sell 500 houses. That's awesome. What's your profit like? And I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know. We just sell a lot, we make a lot. And she said, well, how many people are on your team? And I said, 56. And she was like, that you probably could do that with 10. And I'm like, what? I'm like, she just, velvet hammered me. And about 2 years later, the market shifted and our team, we still maintained top 5 in the world, but the market shifted, the bottom fell out, and we ended up laying off 2/3 of our team in a 60-day period. And I personally ended up in $484,000 in debt in 60 days. So that was not a fun season. It was really hard. It was very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you get out of real estate? Was that your first thought? Get out of real estate? What am I going to do? Or where did your mind shift when you were like, oh my gosh, I'm almost $500,000 in debt. What am I going to do?
I mean, I think truthfully, if anybody else has been through financial trauma like that, you're just overwhelmed and you're kind of drowning and it's really hard to even think clearly. Real estate was really all I knew how to do at that point. I had been selling real estate for 10 years. I got into real estate pretty young. I was a single mom at 19. I got my real estate license at 23. So at that point, I was in my early 30s without an education, without really any other skills. No, my thought wasn't to get out of real estate, but I definitely had 3 kids under 10. I had a 5,000 square foot home, several cars, a market center, a beach house. Like it was more, I just was suffocating and didn't know which end was up. But no, my thought wasn't to get out of real estate. I think my thought was I just need to pivot the way I'm doing real estate because it's the path for me to get out. But I didn't really know exactly what to do. So really what I did was I hired a coach and I just dug in and I worked 10 times harder. I did 10 times more lead gen. I did 10 times more appointments. I did all the things that were uncomfortable that I never wanted to do, whether it was door knocking, open houses. I had reached a point in my career where I'm like, oh, I don't do open houses, right? Like, no, I was doing open houses. I was doing all the things because that was the only way. I mean, $484,000 in debt in 60 days is a mind. I mean, imagine the calls you're getting from the mortgage company, the commercial, like it just was overwhelming. So, no, I just quadrupled down on everything that I had been doing. And it took 22 months, but I was able to clear that debt And yeah, we just kept it moving. Started selling
You, you
foreclosure.
know, and I love that. And so I'm sure our audience here is questioning this and that. And I do want to note something. You're $484,000 in debt, working your tail off. And I don't know if it was the first thing, but the ultimate decision when you started thinking of what direction you're going to go was hire a coach.
Yeah.
So, tell me about that thought process. And obviously, you looked at it as an investment rather than an expense. Yet, what led you to that thought? And
You know, it's interesting because it was actually my husband. My husband, I was so paralyzed by laying people off. Like everything was just so hard. And I came to him and said, I'm drowning. Like we can't, I mean, I was the girl in the grocery store with the coupon binder, like couldn't feed my family, couldn't pay my mortgage. Like everything just felt so hard. And I said to him, like, I don't know what to do. I need help. I don't know what to do. I'm doing the best I can. I feel like we're not getting anywhere. And he said, well, okay, what if you met someone who was in your shoes, what would you tell them to do? I said, I'd tell them to hire a coach. He said, well, then hire a coach. Like, and it was, I didn't even think of it. It was, but that's what I would have told somebody to do. So, yeah, I made the investment and, that coach was really hard on me and I was really grateful for it, and really made me look in the mirror. I mean, listen, I ended up in debt like that because I took on too much that I assumed the money would always flow the way it was, and I didn't have enough in reserves. And well, I didn't have anything apparently in reserves because I was very quickly in debt. And I just assumed that the money would always be the way that it was. You know, as agents, there's not enough conversation around when you get a check and it's $10,000, you really only get four of that. You need to put three away for taxes, you need to put three away for reserves, and you can keep four of it. Um, or however, you know, whatever that number is. I had never thought about it like that. So yeah, I did every single thing that the coach told me to do. That's what I did because what I was doing wasn't working.
that's fascinating, and I love that because that's not the first place people would go or spouses would go. And so it
Yeah.
was a great question that he asked you. So we didn't talk about this when we spoke before, but it made me think about this with not having the reserves and that did your business, right? So meaning your business, like, do you follow the budget model today, and did you back then?
I definitely did not back then. I mean, we had stupid stuff. Like we had a supply room that was like 12 by 12 with fancy post-its and like, you know, no, I absolutely didn't. And what I will tell you today is that if you fast forward not even just today, but for the last 10 years of my business, we follow an MREA model. We do P&Ls on the 15th. I have four people's eyes, including my own, on our money. It's reviewed every day. We get a P&L on the 15th. My business runs never less than 50% profitable. And I've been on stage with Gary a couple of times talking about it because I just will never, ever go back to that. The pain of that was so extraordinary that I will do whatever it takes not to be in that space.
And that's a really good message. So thanks for sharing that because I think that a lot of agents focus on what they're going to bring in and they don't focus on how it's going to be allocated out. And
Yeah.
it's wildly important. So so note that, friends, that we'll be talking about your budget models. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so okay, so let's dive into your business today, and thank you for sharing that because I'm sure it was, it still probably it stings a little thinking back to that pain and rewarding that you've moved on. So what does your team look like today? How many people are on your team? And you're doing about 150 to 200 units a year, is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
We'll do 150 to 250 depending on the year and really my level of engagement because I definitely am involved in lots of things. So if I'm pulled away a little bit, our numbers will go down a little bit. But my team right now is me. I focus mostly on listings. I only work with buyers that are personally referred to me, and even those I don't keep all of. sellers that are personally referred to me, and all the rest of the leads that we get go out to team members. I have a director of operations who's been with me for 8 years. She does everything. She does TCs, she does listings, she does marketing, she does financials, she does client events. She's a beast, and literally does everything. Nobody can ever believe we do that many transactions with one ops person, but we do. Um, I have a full-time agent who does listings and buyers, and then I have three part-time agents who do listings and buyers, and that's the team.
Okay. And what does your lead gen look like? Like where does a majority of your business come from? And then what does lead generation look like for you on a daily basis?
So I'm probably well, I'm more like I would say my business runs the way most people don't admit it does, which is we don't do a great job at lead gen. We're not the team that's in there calling every day from 9 to 11. And we do 2 hours of lead gen every day. But the way so I've had teams for so long that I've seen it go all the terrible ways. And for me right now, my sweet spot is the people I have. I know what their goal is, and I'm here to help them hit their goal, but I don't dictate their goals and I don't dictate their activities and I don't manage them. I'm not managing everybody's my partner, or we can't be in business together because I just don't have the time or the energy to deal with nonsense. It's taken me a long time to learn that's my sweet spot. But essentially, on Mondays, we have a team meeting. At that team meeting, we review our numbers, we review all the things. And then at the end, we have a commitment tracker, and everybody turns in 5 activities that they're going to do for lead gen for the week. And they're expected to do those activities, and then they report back the following week. Did they do it? How did it go? What did they learn? And so our lead gen is not universal. Our lead gen, I've got one agent who really loves door knocking. I have two guys that won't door knock because they feel like people won't open the door and are going to be scared of them. But I've got two ladies that will. I've got one that loves open houses. Everybody on my team does open houses. They do at least one a week. Um, but it could be social media videos, it could be YouTube stuff, it could be business to business, it could be networking. We are a database driven team, specifically leaning into our database. Um, for the team, I have a monthly marketing calendar that we build every October where we lay out for the year what our touches are going to be, what our client events are going to be. Then my director of ops and I execute it, and the agents use the activities each month for their lead gen. So, as an example, last week we had 350 tickets to a Baltimore Orioles game. Our theme for the month was that Baltimore Orioles game. And in that, we're able to go to our VIP Facebook group that we created about a year and a half ago, and invite them. We're able to send out our evite. Then we're able to text people, make sure they got the invitation. We're able to call people, email people, text people. We do a ticket day pickup where our vendors deliver koozies and things like that. So we use each month the theme as a means to talk to people every week in our database. We are 90% database and SOI. We don't pay for leads. We do pay referral fee leads. So things like Fast Expert and things like that, we will pay for those. But we don't pay Zillow or anything like that. We'd rather have people that like us and trust us who want to work with us. That's just, we get a lot of business from open houses. We do first time home buyer seminars. So each month we do 2 to 3 activities that then everybody can pick what their activities around that thing are going to be. We do Laura Gillot did a really good MREA podcast episode about 6 months ago. She does a really cool Facebook contest giveaway. I would encourage you guys to all go listen to that podcast. My team's been running that play since January, and it is game changer. We're getting referrals, we're getting database additions. It's just another way for us to really publicly touch our sphere. Um, So that's what we do for lead gen. I don't mandate it. I don't dictate it. The results speak for themselves. We do review for conversations every week. So it's apparent. Last week I had a conversation with my team. We closed out May and I was going through the conversations with them and I said, guys, those of you that didn't hit the 100% in the appointments, where are you going to feel the burn? And they're like, July or August. I'm like, yeah, that's where you're going to feel it because you were real busy in May not doing your activities. So if you want to hit that result, you need to do twice as many. Maybe instead of 5, you need to do 7 or 8. Doesn't matter to me. They're your goals, not mine. I'm going to hit my goals and do, but that's sort of the style that we have. It's not me holding people accountable and making them do stuff. It's just that's not my vibe with them.
So, and I love that. And I love how you also give them the space to lead gen in the way that speaks to them and not mandate anything, because that's what we always say is, lead generation isn't a one size fits all tool,
Correct.
fit
Yep.
figure out what works for you, what you like to do, what you're going to do, and then do it at a very high level.
Yeah.
So what, since you're so SOI driven, database driven, what is are you on a 36 touch, 42 touch? Like how many touches are you touching your database annually?
We have a 148 touch program. It's big.
Mm-hmm.
It includes a bi-weekly newsletter, and that newsletter is actually lead gen, where if they click into the articles, we immediately get a notification and we can see what they're clicking and that kind of thing. So it includes social media touches, it includes a monthly giveaway, it includes birthday and house anniversary cards, it includes uh, 6 client events, 2 first-time home buyer seminars. It's a very, laid out program, but it is 148 touches, and we've been running that play for 8 years. And it allows us, I mean, I will also tell you this, I have 7,000 leads that have come to our website or whatever that we don't even call. Like it's bad. It's like I know we should. My son just graduated from the University of Kentucky a couple of weeks ago with a degree in business, and he joined our real estate team. And I was like, good news for you. I have 7,000 leads. Nobody on our team calls. So call, do a customer service call, get your feet wet, screw it up. You can't screw it up because we're not calling them. So we're really good at the initial call and conversion. But once it get past 24 hours, I actually send all of our leads over to Conversion Monster. And if they kick something back, we're happy about it. And if not, I at least feel like I'm not flushing them down the toilet because someone is trying to work them. It's just not our thing. I've tried over the years. When I had an expansion team, I was really tough in the lead gen and accountability and all of that. And I think what I realized is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And rather than me pushing so hard the people around me, I just want to support them and hold them accountable to what they say they're going to do. And then if they don't do it, say, okay, that's 3 weeks in a row you haven't door knocked. Do you hate it? Well, stop saying you're going to do it. Let's pick something else that you're actually going to do. And then the team will kind of rally around them and say, all right, well, why don't you come and do this with me this week? Or what if you did this? And we'll just kind of help each other in that way.
Sure. I love that. And I forgot to tell you guys at the beginning. So we're going to have plenty of time at the end of this for all your questions and answers. So I'm going to leave a good 15 or so minutes for you guys. So any questions you have, feel free to put them in the chat or write them down and hold on to them. And Charlotte will be all yours to ask the questions to. So just going back just a little bit. So you've had your team now for 10 years. And in that gap from transitioning to that, were you a solo agent for a period of time?
I was not a solo agent. I used to partner with Pat Hyben and he retired. And when he retired, I launched my own team. And I very quickly met a guy named Seth Campbell. I worked with Gary Keller to launch one of the first expansion teams in the country, and had teams in 9 states and 26 different locations. And that was like a really cool experience, kind of like a master's in business, getting to work with Gary and grow something I'd never grown before. And then that kind of became so big that I was like, I don't actually think this is what I got into real estate for. It feels very corporate. And so I scaled it down to launch my team in 2016. I've never really been a solo agent when I got my license. I got my license because I had a not so great first time home buyer experience. And
Mm.
I went to the agent I bought my house from and said, I think there's a better way to do this. I'm going to be a buyer agent for you. I just got my license. You don't have to do anything, just answer my questions. I'll go get the business. And she was kind of like, okay. So I've been on teams for either been on a team, been a partner in a team, or run a team for my whole career. I've never really done it solo. I'm kind of a team player, and I like working with other people.
Excellent, excellent. So when you look at your team today, what kind of systems do you have in place? Like technology systems? What do you do to leverage your business or to stay in touch with your clients?
Yeah, so we it's interesting because my systems were built in an era where the market was really bad. So we've probably been over delivering for the last 10 or 15 years in a world where we really didn't need to. So when the market is kind of weird the way it is now, and some houses sell in a day and some houses take a week and some need four price reductions, what we have found works best for us. And keep in mind that the market that I'm in is halfway between DC and Baltimore, high income, great schools, little crime, like really our average sales price is probably 650, 700. It's a high demand. It's almost like New York City, but a little less rough. Very demanding clients. And so for our market, what works the best is daily communication. So we use Command for some of our technology. For our transactions, we use Brivity. I like Brivity because every morning at 8 a.m., my clients get a message that says, here's what our team did for you today, because we were in checking boxes and stuff. But every single day, Monday through Friday, our clients get an email from my director of ops with either showing feedback report, realtor.com report, Zillow report, virtual tour reports, market reports. So they're never questioning, what are you doing to sell my house? I don't get that question. In fact, a lot of times what I get is, okay, I see all the traffic's good, but should I just drop the price? Because we're giving them so much information. And I was in Gary Keller's top 100 mastermind in Austin last week, and one of the really successful agents was vulnerable and said, I've got a lot of clients calling me complaining right now. My house isn't selling. What are you doing? What are you going to do differently? Don't tell me to drop the price. And I asked that agent, what are you doing to communicate proactively? And that agent said, we do a Friday report. Guess what? When you only do a Friday report, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they want to know what you're doing. So if anybody's doing a once a week report, I would really, especially in this market, encourage you to do a daily contact. So my director of ops sends those messages out. She copies me, and then I reply, not to all of them, but I tell them ahead of time, you're going to get daily reporting from us. If I don't reply, it means everything is fine. If I do reply, it's because I've got something to tell you or something that we need to be aware of. And when I do reply, I'm planting the seed with them that for every 8 to 10 showings, we should have an offer. If we don't, we might have missed the mark on price. Or I'll send them a quick snapshot of the MLS of, hey, listen, four other houses like yours actually went under contract this week and yours didn't. And here's why I think why. Maybe we need new carpet or we need to change the price. Um, but what I find is that the more proactive, not reactive communication you have with your buyers and sellers, the better. Sellers are way more demanding than buyers because buyers are being kept busy by the lender, the title, the inspector. So for buyers, we do a weekend update. So every buyer gets a Friday. I get an email from the director of ops with an update of what happened in the file this week, and then we send a message out to each buyer client on Fridays or Saturday mornings to just say, "Hey, this is what's happening this week. Everything's moving along just fine. Blah 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 blah. Whatever we need to let them know."
So I have a couple questions. The first one on that is these daily communication systems that you have in place. Are those organic? Are those like, do you have something set up to where it's auto reporting, or does your director of ops go in and do the research and then shoot it out every single day?
Yeah, good question. So we have a template for each day. When we send the email, we send a PDF or we send screenshots of the image of the traffic online or whatever. So if it'll either be a screenshot with a templated email or it will be a templated email with a PDF. And on the PDF, she just drags and drops three screenshots that show the data for that portal.
Perfect. Okay. And it appears that you are quite a systems driven
I
team.
am a systems girl.
You're a
Yes.
systems girl.
Yeah.
So let's pretend that you are just getting into business, or either that, or what suggestions you have to the our audience here, that if they don't have all the systems in place, or maybe they do, what would you say are the top three systems that they should focus on getting into place right away?
I think probably number one is time blocking. I think if you're not time blocking, that just I don't know. Like it time blocking is such a game changer that I don't know how I could even function without a really regimented time blocked schedule. And I think if you're going to level up your service or build systems, you need to have time blocks to do that because you need to work on your business, not just in the business. So if I was just getting started in implementing systems, I would pick a time block where your brain is not fried. So it's not like at 4 o'clock, it's probably at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and just do a 1 hour time block for daily communication with your clients. And I would take, and I might have a time block for an hour to build a template. Templates are really easy to build. You can do them in Canva, you can do them in Command, you can do them in a Google Doc. Once you've got the template, it's really easy to duplicate a system. If you're lucky enough to have an admin, the way everybody on my team functions is if they need my help with a conversation or a dialogue or an email, they will draft it, send it to me, I rewrite it, send it back, and copy the team so that everybody can grow from the opportunity of, okay, well, here's what I would have said. And then I'll wordsmith it a little better. And then if it's really good, we save them as templates. Like that's a great template to send to somebody. So I think I would time block an hour to actually communicate daily and an hour to build a new system, whether it's an open house flyer, whether it's a door knocking flyer, whether it's a golden letter, at least 2 to 3 times a week. I would do that because that's the only way you're going to get good at systems. I wouldn't say that being good at systems is always the way I've been, but it is the way I learned how to get out of debt and rebuild my life and my business and all of that. So I would say that's probably important. I think building a habit of adding 20 people to your database every month. If you're brand new, it should be 20 a week. If you're in the business like me, my goal is 20 a month. For me, I've been doing this 26 years. For me to meet 20 new people when I don't do open houses, that's harder for me. But I would get your database to 201 people as fast as possible, and I would add 20 a month no matter what. I think that's something important to do. And the third thing I would do is probably role playing and getting really comfortable with conversations that are hard for you. If you're not wired to work with sellers, like if you love buyers, it's probably because you don't love seller conversations, but you can learn to love seller conversations by practicing and getting really competent in what to say when people give you objections. So those would probably be the three that I would put in place.
And you had mentioned Laura Gillette's podcast.
Yeah,
Did you have monthly events or the social media events before you listened to that?
no. We
Okay.
do client events. So we do Pi Day at Thanksgiving. We do an Orioles game. We do a fall festival. We do photos with Santa. We definitely do events. But that social media event, there's a playbook. And if there's one thing that I learned in working with Gary, Gary terrifies me. He's a very good friend of mine, but he terrifies me in a healthy way. And every time I had to get in a meeting room with him, I knew that I needed to be really clear and really succinct with what I was delivering and what I was asking. And what I learned is that living in E and being entrepreneurial is cool if you can do it, but the real success shows up when you're purposeful. So when I heard that podcast, I was like, wait a second, this is totally something we can do in our business. We have a VIP group, we have a big social media following, we can do this. I played it for my team. I had them listen to it at our annual advance and said, I'd like to take $500 a month and set a budget and do this for 12 months and see, do we add to our database? Do we get the referrals? And so together as a team, we built the Canva templates, the exactly what to say. Like it takes 2 hours for us to execute it every month. And we've generated last month we generated 4 referrals, 4 new listings, 25 new people to the database, and people love it. They talk about it. But if I had to, if I listened to that podcast and had to figure out, well, how do I do this and how do I do that? She literally says, go to my page and steal my stuff. So I literally copied and pasted what she had. I downloaded her playbook. I made 3 Canva images and executed it. So I think if you're not, like maybe we were talking about lead gen, if you're not sure what lead gen to do, go to command, type playbook, pull up all the playbooks and pick the ones you want to run and just do that. Do it exactly the way they're doing it. Don't tweak it, don't get creative, be really purposeful and just run those plays until you find 2 or 3 that you love and then just do those consistently.
I love that. It's interesting to me because lead gen really is not a way out there idea. It's earning relationships and having real estate conversations in different ways. And there's so many different ways to do it. So
Yeah,
you were also on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent
I
podcast
was. Yeah.
and you talked about your event system. So yours were more of the big events that you shared.
Yeah, I would say go listen to the podcast because it's
Hmm.
when we're talking about lead gen, I think we talk about big events, but we talk about my marketing timeline. And I gave Jason a whole Google folder with my annual marketing timeline. So the playbook link has a lot of stuff in it, and it's
Hmm.
everything from large lots thing to the client events to the giveaways that we do. We do a lot of mailings. So we do like a lucky lottery mailing where we do a scratch off ticket. We do giveaways. So it's all of those things. Yeah.
Okay. And for those of you wondering, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast, Jason Abrams, he rolls a new one out every Monday. Charlotte's podcast is episode number 45. So you don't have to think, just go to 45 and listen to it. It's fascinating. So, as a new agent, do you think putting that playbook together is unrealistic? And I'm not saying we have agents that are brand new
Yeah.
on here today, and we have large teams on here as well.
Yeah.
So,
No, so here's the thing. So the last 2 years at Family Reunion and Mega Camp, I've been on panels talking about client events. To me, a client event, could it be my 500-person fall festival? Yes. Could it also be you sitting in a coffee shop with a sign that says, I love real estate
mhm.
and not leaving until you get 5 people to take your card? That can also be an event. The social media giveaway can be an event. A happy hour. I coach a couple of agents who are doing a happy hour the second Friday of the month right now. And their vendors, they have 2 vendors that sponsor it. They invite 20 of their favorite clients or friends, and they're running that play for 6 months and they're adding to their database. They're getting referrals. That's an event. And they're solo agents that don't have a team. So I think the real key is when you say, is it feasible? There's 2 pieces to that. The first piece is, will you actually do it? Right. And then the second piece is, do you have a budget for it? If you don't have a budget for it, guess what? The people you give business to do. The lenders do, your title company does, your home inspector does. You're supporting their businesses. They can help you out with a $200 happy hour. The really cool thing about our events is we zero them out. So I just took 350 people to a Baltimore Orioles game in the not cheap seats and paid $0 for it because I asked my vendor partners to partner with us. And it's my expectation that if you're going to get business from us, you're going to be part of whatever it is we're doing. Um, so yeah, I think it's feasible for anybody. I think you just need to do it. When I first got into real estate, I used to, all my girlfriends, when I was a young mom in real estate, all my girlfriends did like candle parties, pampered chef parties, all the parties. I would host one a month at my house. So I always got invited because they knew that I would buy stuff and I would host one. And they get more rewards when you host one at your house. So for I would say 5 years, every year I did a party every month at my house for one of these vendor people. It cost me nothing other than I spent $100 on whatever it was they were selling, but then I got to have a party so yeah, I think it doesn't matter how big or how small it is. You just have to pick a play and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. And, so I hope you're all hearing that is leveraging your relationship with your vendors it gives them the opportunity to interact with the client base as well and grow their
Yeah.
business. So switching gears just a little bit, Charlotte, are you using artificial intelligence in your business?
Oh yes, every day.
Mm. Uh, So we just launched an AI series. So every Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we have a 1 hour AI workshop mastermind. So share with me like how it's saving you time or earning you more revenue or what it's been doing for your real estate business, other businesses, life.
Yeah, I mean, I use it for everything. So Chat and I are homies, and I'm really nice to Chat because Chat is nice to me. Um, but I this is one of those E to P things. I've only been using AI for 6 or 8 months, but I'm at the point now where it is on my window screen. I use it every day. Um, to me, entrepreneurial is. I have all the notes from my listing, how many bedrooms, how many baths, what kind of floors, all the things. And then I go and write some set of comments about how great the house is. Now what I do is I copy and paste my notes into Chat and say, Chat, can you help me write comments that sound like I wrote them? And Chat spits them out for me and I put them in the MLS. Um, it used to take me an hour to like go through and get everything, like make sure everything was, looked good and said the right thing. And it gets old. Like it's the same thing over and over. Like, oh, welcome to such and such, blah, 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 3 bedroom. Um, and now it takes me 30 seconds to do MLS comments. I ask it to help me with marketing. It helps me write social media posts. It helps me, I use it a lot for marketing. My son, I think I told you, he just joined my real estate team. And I don't hire new agents only because I don't have the bandwidth to train them. And I feel like they're going to have a terrible experience with me. And I just have learned that I'm not good with new agents. But my son is a new agent and I have to kind of be good with him. And I'm running in a million directions. So I use Chat for that. Like, Chat, I need to train Braden how to have conversations with first-time home buyers. Can you give me a list of objections and handlers for that he can practice this week and then a role play that he and I can do at the end of the week. And I handed it to him. I'm like, here's your work. Go do it. I use it for looking smarter than I am. If some weird legal thing comes up or something I don't understand, I'll quickly, while I'm on the phone with somebody, go in and say, like, tell me what this means in Maryland. And it'll pop, it'll just tell me, and I'll sound really smart. What's good about that? What's bad about that? What do I need to know? Yeah, I use it for everything.
That's fantastic. So you're in Gary's top 100 mastermind.
Yes.
And what is Gary saying about AI right now?
Funny, we talked about that in last week's meeting because somebody mentioned something like, "Oh, we're all going to be replaced by AI or something," and we had a really big discussion about that. And Gary's take on that was very clear that AI is never ever going to replace the realtor. There are things that it can do systems wise, marketing wise, content wise, administratively. You're going to start to see some AI underwriting with mortgages, but it will never replace the human element. And the very truth is that our buyers and our sellers, this is a massively emotional experience for them. And Chat has no emotions. Chat is a people
Mhm.
pleaser, and Chat wants you to be happy. So they're going to do whatever they need to do. When you get messaging, notice that they're never negative. It's never, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's, oh, that's a great idea, Charlotte. You should definitely do that. Like, no, people shouldn't always do that. And the human part of that is where we come into play to say, that's great that Reddit told you this and Google told you this and chat told you this. Now, let me tell you what that really means. Like, from a human component, your kids, this is going to matter. Your family, this is going to matter. Your dog isn't going to like this because of that. It's just never going to understand the human relationship. And if we can learn to, what Gary said is if we can learn to stop being scared or stop feeling like we're fighting against AI and use AI as leverage wherever we can, that will actually give us more time to ramp up the human element of our relationships, which AI will never be able to replace.
Absolutely. And I've also heard that in the same token, AI will not replace real estate agents, yet those real estate agents that aren't embracing AI could very
100%.
well be replaceable.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Because AI moves really fast, and not all agents move really fast, and not all agents are experienced enough to the learning curve for some agents. Like the converse, I mean, if my son went on a listing appointment today against me, he's not winning. But if my son went on a listing appointment and did a bunch of work with ChatGPT ahead of time to say, tell me about this neighborhood, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this, he's gonna have a shot because he is going to understand some stuff that he probably shouldn't understand, but he's done enough research. But for him to go drive the neighborhood, pull the all of that's going to take hours and hours and days. And, we don't get good at being realtors for years sometimes. So, yeah, you have to embrace it. Have
yeah, and it
Yeah.
yeah, and it scales our knowledge. I mean, we're learning more because of ChatGPT is doing the research for us.
Yeah.
So one thing before I have a final question for you. Yeah,
Okay.
before I do that and we open it up for Q&A, I want to not miss out on an opportunity for you to put in the chat box your contact info for any referrals heading your way.
Okay.
And then also direct you guys. So you guys heard in the beginning some of Charlotte's story and the challenges she overcame and things like that. She did another podcast called Choose Difficult. And that was, so if you go to the Choose Difficult podcast, that one was released in June of 2021. So go listen to that. That's going to tell her story. There's more than just more happened in her world that she had to overcome other than
Yeah,
the crash. So for her to be this little spitfire that's just taken, kicking tail and taking names, she's
that's
gone
right.
through a lot to get here. Um, so my final question, and then I want to open up to the audience to ask you questions, is if you were to start over today, if you had to reimagine your business today, or your son is just getting in the business, or maybe to an agent that's relocated to the area. We're struggling a little bit more in Florida with high inventory and
Yeah.
all. What would you suggest? What should the agents be doing? What should they be focusing on? Whether they're a new agent or a big team, like where should they be addressing their attention and to earn business?
Um, to earn business. So I think um I think it's making sure your database is growing and not and that involves you getting out and doing things. You have to do open houses, you have to go to parties, you have to, believe it or not, I'm an introverted extrovert. I force myself to go to parties that I don't want to go to. I'd rather be in my pajamas. So I would say it's getting out, meeting people, participating, joining nonprofits, joining networking groups, doing open houses. It's get yourself out there because sitting in your house staring at your database is not going to work. I would build, I would literally go to Staples and buy a 12-month daily planner, like a monthly planner calendar. And I would literally just say, okay, it's June. What is my theme of the month? I would go listen to my podcast and then I would literally just map it out. Okay, June is there's Father's Day, there's barbecues, there's this, there's that. What am I going to do to talk to my database this month? Am I going to do a barbecue pack giveaway and follow large lots model? Am I going to door knock for apartment complexes with why rent flyers? Am I going to do a first time home buyer seminar? Like what are the things that I'm going to do that are not the things that I've been doing because that's not working. Um, and I think you have to look for, I coach two agents in Florida and they're going through the same thing that you're in. And for them, I'm telling them the same thing. Whatever you were doing, you got a 10x it. You're putting up 5 open house signs, put up 50. Put up balloons on them. Door knock, if you were door knocking 10 houses, door knock 50. If you were door knocking 50, door knock 100. Like I would just ramp up the activities. Now, if you're a brand new agent, I would talk to your market center. Hopefully you guys have like a PC program or an Ignite program or Bold. I would get into something like that. So that you've got a little bit of like a system behind you of what you're doing. But I would still build the database, get out there, talk to people, and I would get really good at dialogues. I would find a role play partner and I would just role play every scenario you possibly can. I don't have enough money. I have bad credit. I'm afraid of the interest rates. My interest rate's 3%. I don't want to sell and get a 6. Like whatever it is, I don't want to pay the buyer agent commission. Just role play everything that could possibly go wrong because the stronger you are in your conversations, we talked a lot about that in Gary's group last week. We spent a half a day talking about fear. People are afraid right now. If your business is stalling, and you feel afraid, you have to do more role plays because the only way you're going to get out of the fear is really deeply understanding the conversations you should be having and being confident in those conversations because how you deliver them is going to sound so much different than everybody else that they were talking to. When the market shifted, even when I was losing everything 10 years ago or however many years ago, it was all a blur. Um, People would say, how's the market? And my answer was always, great. It's great. There are buyers, there are sellers, there's this, there's that, there's new construction going. Like, tell me why you ask. Because 99% of the people they're talking to are telling them real estate's bad, the market's bad, there's so much inventory, prices are falling. But when they hear somebody that says it's good, they're like, wait, what? What'd you say? It's good? Tell me about that. Um, so I think get out of your fear and go do something about it and don't like wallow and live there. It's my best
Yeah.
advice.
Well, and I'm really actually thrilled that you mentioned the role play because we just launched role play with top agents this week at 8:45, and I'll tell you, we've only had a small handful of agents come.
Mm, they're going to take
That's
market share, y'all. You better get on that call.
hello, just those couple few agents, they've already gotten four appointments.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because they're practicing before they go out, and they're not practicing on the people. It's so important. I agree with you. That's what I did, and that's when my business grew, when I got confident in the conversations and learned and understood the language of real estate and that. So, okay, are there any final words that you'd like to share before we ask everyone what they'd like to
Nope.
know? What
Nope. I'm
question?
happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Okay. Well, going into the chat, Leslie was wondering, what system do you use to send your newsletter?
So I use something called Home Actions. And if you email me, I can connect you with the owner of the company who who offers like a crazy low discount to people that know me. I don't get something for it, but I just have something worked out with him. It's a system called Home Action. So every newsletter is branded. So I have a team. So on my team, every agent on my team has a personally branded newsletter with the team's logo and that kind of thing. Um, and it goes out bi-weekly. They're drag and drop articles. So they write all the articles. And then I have articles that are in there every time, like what's my home worth, curious about our listings, join our charity this month. Like we have some that are there every time, but then they put in articles every 2 weeks that you just drag, drop. They look great. And when people click on them, we immediately get a notification that somebody wants to know what their house is worth or whatever. It's phenomenal and it's something like $60 a month. Like it's stupid how cheap it is. But I will say, Command has a newsletter function and that's free. So I would look into that. I just have been using Home Actions for so long that I'm a creature of habit and I just use that.
It's not broken, don't fix
Right, right.
it.
Yeah. This isn't like a I hate command thing. I love command for the parts of it that I love, and you should find some parts that you love and use it for that as leverage.
Absolutely. All right, well, come off mute and ask questions that you want. I know Tatiana just put in there, what AI tools are you using?
So I primarily use ChatGPT. I do use a little bit of Google Gemini, but I feel like the thing with ChatGPT is when the more you use it, the more ChatGPT understands you and your language and how you think and what your style is. And I feel like Gemini is smart, but doesn't sound like me. ChatGPT sounds like me. And
Mhm.
you'll get there after even just 2 weeks of use. It literally, as a matter of fact, you asked me to send you a bio. I had
Mhm.
ChatGPT write it. I was like, "Hey, can you update my bio?" Like,
Mhm.
I needed a bio for another website that I was doing, and it wrote one for me. So I would, and I'm like, "Wow, this is scary." Like, I feel like we really do know each other. I don't know anything about chat, but yeah, I would say pick one and stick with that until it really knows you. And I really I do have the paid subscription of ChatGPT. I did the free one for like a month, and then I was like, this is a no-brainer. So I have a paid subscription with Chat.
So, and I've used four different platforms just to let everybody know. And if you know the disc profile, I think chat's more of like a DI
Yeah.
ID. And if you go to Claude's more of a C. So if you just want correctness, whatever, with no feeling of personality, even though they don't, it's not gonna be like, oh, you're great. It's just gonna give you data with sources and that. So
Love that.
um,
Yeah.
good question. And Lindsay, what is the key to getting new contacts from giveaways?
Good question. So I would encourage you to go to my Facebook page or my team's Facebook page. You're welcome to download, like copy and paste. I'm not that smart. I copied and pasted Laura's. After 3 months, I made a little bit of a tweak to it. We use a Google form to collect information. And the biggest thing that needs to be there is forced questions. We force them to check a box of, are you interested in the value of your home? Attending a first time home buyer seminar. We give them like five different options. And the last one is join our newsletter. And they all select sign up for the newsletter. So we use a Google form for that. And then we download that and upload it into our database systems. And it's just
Excellent.
a Google form. You literally can just click the link on my last giveaway. I think it was a Mother's Day giveaway. Our next giveaway is next week. Just click the link. You can just download, steal the form, make a copy, and then you can use it yourself.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Are you
Good question, Lindsay. So the
oh,
answer to that is we have done it both ways. When we run a $50 Facebook ad, we add about 150 people to our database. However, they don't know us, they don't like us, they are trying to win something for free. And what my team has decided is we'd rather have, this is just us, we would rather have somebody from our database win, or somebody that was referred by our database win, than some random person that saw an opportunity. And there are literally people who troll social media for free giveaways. um, and we just didn't find them to be great viable contacts that we wanted to win a $500 prize. Now, I know Laura Gillette does. It is open to everybody, and she does run the ads. Their goal is they added something crazy like 13,000 people to their database last year or something. I don't really want 13,000 people added to my database. I want the people that we know and have served, or our friends, or whatever, and people they know to come into our database more a little like organically in this way, not just random people that have never heard of us and are probably never going to use us. But I think you just have to figure out for you and your market and your business what makes sense. And if you don't have a database or you're new to the business, yes, I would pay $50 for an ad all day long. Um, so the purpose, no, actually, the purpose of the giveaway for us is both. Um, one of the forced questions is I'm curious about the value of my house. I'm thinking about buying or selling in the next year. I know somebody that would like to buy or sell. And the thing with these contests is I think people think the more boxes they check, the more of a chance they have to win. So no, we definitely get referrals, but it's because it's top of mind and we're asking them on the forum, do you know somebody that's thinking about buying or selling? So we really do want the referrals, and we really do want the business, and we are finding that we're getting it because they already know us. When we ran the ads, we were getting people that would say yes, and then when we would call, they're like, "I'm not buying a house. I just wanted to try to win the prize." Like, okay, cool. But our clients wouldn't do that. Like if they check the box that they have a referral, they would literally say, like, "Oh my gosh, yes." Um, and I will say, like, I have a client, a really good client of mine who won the contest 2 months ago. They actually, in winning the contest, said, "You know what? We're thinking we might want to sell and buy." And we literally just sold them a house and they bought a new house. We sold their house and they bought a new one. Would they have done that with us? Probably, but literally it sparked the conversation. And they were like, "Well, we weren't really thinking about it, but now that we're thinking about it, like we were talking about it, and now we think we want to do it." So it's more about deepening the relationship, staying on top of mind, and definitely getting the referrals. We also have a question on there of one of the forced questions is interested in a career in real estate. So I take all of those yeses and I give them to my team leader, and that team leader calls and gets them into K score. And then if they join, they're going to come into my downline.
Beautiful. I like how purposeful you are with that. Your
I'm a
team leader.
purposeful girl.
I bet your team leader appreciates it too. Um,
Yes.
okay, any final questions, anybody? I want to be respectful of Charlotte's time. It's Friday and I know that she has a busy day.
I'm
Yes,
going on the
agreed.
boat. I'm going on the boat. You guys are my
See,
last call.
very busy day. Well, we appreciate you, and that was just incredible and thought-provoking insight into your business and your strategies and systems. So, thank you for taking the time,
Of course.
and I am going to encourage everybody here, put her in your database, send her your referrals, and reach out to her if you have any questions
Yep.
about
Happy to
that.
happy to help in any way we can. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Charlotte.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Take
much.
care. All
All
right.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.